All right, let's just get right into it. We're going to have a very real talk today about your dealership's SEO. We'll cover why it's probably not getting you the results you want, and more importantly, what the new game plan for success actually looks like.
Okay, that sounds pretty harsh, I know. But it's the brutally honest truth of where things are right now. And just to be clear, I'm not saying you suck or that your people suck. What I'm saying is when we're talking about this new world of generative search, of SEO, most dealerships are just falling way, way behind.
And the reason for this failing grade? It's not because people aren't trying. It's because the entire digital world has had the rug pulled out from under it. The ground has completely shifted, and the old playbook, it just doesn't work anymore.
And look, this is the first big pill to swallow. It is so easy, so tempting to point the finger at your SEO provider or your website company, but the hard truth is the problem, and you know what? The solution too. It starts inside your own four walls. That's right. The entire rulebook for what makes search engine optimization work has been torn up and thrown out. Seriously, everything that worked for you even 2 or 3 years ago, it's pretty much obsolete today.
So, you know that old excuse, my SEO provider just isn't doing enough? That line just doesn't fly anymore. The new reality is that this work needs your direct involvement. It demands accountability from you and your team. You can't just outsource trust. It has to be earned from the inside out.
And this quote, man, it just nails it, right? It's such a simple truth, but it's the core of this whole new way of thinking. You get out what you put in. Your dealership has to be an active player in building its own authority online. So, okay, if the old goals are dead, what are we even aiming for? Well, the new holy grail, the new end game for your digital strategy is something called the Google Knowledge Graph. So what is this thing? Here's the best way to think about it. The Knowledge Graph is like Google's own private encyclopedia of truth. It's the system it uses to understand entities, and an entity is just a fancy word for your dealership, a real place with a real reputation. It connects all the dots about who you are to figure out if you're a business people can actually trust. This is the absolute foundation of trust online. That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Sounds great. But how in the world do you actually build this thing? How do you create this foundation of trust so Google sees you as the answer for customers in your area? Well, it's not some secret voodoo magic. Building this trust is a very deliberate process. It's all about creating specific signals that Google can see, understand, and most importantly, verify. So let's break down the actual steps. At a high level, it really boils down to a 3-step process. First, you create something called SEO content validations. Think of these as pieces of evidence that prove you know your stuff and you're part of the community. Second, you use that evidence to build trust vectors. These are the signals that point back to you as an authority. And third, all those pieces come together to form your dealership's official knowledge graph. Now, here's where it gets really cool, seeing how these two things work together. They're literally the building blocks. So let's say you sponsor a local Little League team. The press release you put out about it, that's your SEO content validation. Now, when the local news website writes a story about your sponsorship and links to your website, that is a trust vector. You see, you're giving Google the raw materials it needs to check its facts and confirm that, yes, you are a legit, trustworthy, and important part of your local community. So let's connect all this technical stuff back to what really matters, the business goal. Because, being found in a search is one thing, but the real win is being chosen by the customer. So why go through all this trouble? What's the actual tangible payoff for your dealership? I'll tell you this, it's about way more than just ranking #1 for some keyword. This is the whole point, right here. When your knowledge graph is solid, it's not just Google's algorithm that finds you. The customer trusts you before they even click on your website. The search itself becomes a validation, telling the customer, yeah, I trust this place. This is who I want to buy from. That decision gets made right there on the results page. And the best part, this strategy is totally future-proof. It honestly doesn't matter if your customer is doing a normal Google search, if they're seeing one of those new AI overviews, or if they're just asking their smart speaker a question. When you have that foundation of verifiable trust, your dealership becomes the top choice, no matter how they're looking. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Take a hard look at your digital strategy right now and ask yourself honestly, is your dealership just being found or is it being chosen?
Because in the world we live in today, that's the only thing that really matters.